Hello class, this is the final video in the series of program development. I have covered with you step by step on how to develop your program. I've discussed each step, beginning with setting the pin directions, defining and creating variables that you will need in your process, defining any constants that you might want to use in your process, initializing your variables and outputs, and then you're finally getting to your main procedure. Programming is a science and an art, meaning that there are some skills that you must follow, but you also must use a lot of creativity within the development of your program. Nowadays, most people do not begin programming from scratch, meaning from zero. They usually have a model that they can use to begin, and they expand on that model. So I'm providing the class with the structure of your first program. Your job is simply to expand on this model to accommodate your particular program. My next video series will talk about the commands that you probably will need in your program. However, I will not wait until those videos. I will begin immediately reading all the commands, or about all the commands that you have used for testing all of your components, because those are the commands that you're going to be using for reading and controlling, reading your inputs and controlling your outputs. Let me summarize this template or starting program. You can see here quickly that I have initialized the directions. I've made the first 8 ports inputs, and I made the second 8 ports outputs. That was my choice. You can arrange this in any form that you need according to your project. Here I have an example of initializing, and we discuss the options for initializing variables. Here in my program, I decided to define some constants so that when I read my procedure, it will make more sense to me because it will relate to my actual project. In this program that I'm using, I have basically a push button switch connected to P0, and that switch is used to give 2 different values to port 0, and I have an LED connected to port 15 that I would like to control by using the switch. Each of you have something like this for your project. You have a circuit diagram, and you must be very clear on how your inputs and your outputs are related to your program. As defined before, your microcontroller can read values from a port to determine if it is a 0 or 1 at any given time. And also it can control the port, which means that it can output a 0 volts or 5 volts at any time of the program. 0 volts meaning 0, and 5 volts meaning 1. I've connected the LED circuit directly to the microcontroller because it only needs about 20 milliamps of current, which is available from the basic stamp directly. In this procedure, it will read the input, it will save it as X, then my process will decide if the switch is off, which basically means, does X equal to 0? If it is, then go to process A. If that's not true, then it will go to the next command, and it will check to see if X is equal to 1. If that's true, then it will go to process B and continue. If these two if statements are both not true, then it will just go back and continue to read the value of the input. So the input value will determine whether it will execute process A or execute process B. Here in process A, I am turning on the LED by making a high for port number 15. In process B, I am using the low command to control the value of the port 15, and the process repeats itself. Please use this program as a starting program for your microcontroller project, and then begin to expand or begin to add more commands to complete your final control program. Thank you.